I figured I should have some sort of an intro. I didn't know what to say, so I just thought I'd make like a I don't know. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. This is Force here with Sunday Tea with Force, a question and answers experience. Today I am once again drinking a delicious green tea with some honey. Oh, it is so soothing. Someone asked me in the last episode why green tea with honey. It's pretty simple. The honey, the green tea, the warmth of the tea plus the honey basically helps to soothe your throat, which is excellent when you do something like myself, which is talk a whole lot. Simba, where are you going? My cat is trying to leave right now, and I'm trying to record. This is not the time. People also ask me about this, like all the marks on the back of my chair. They asked if I had dandruff or if my chair had moles. No, those are, you guys don't own pets, do you? Those are cat scratches. They scratch the crap out of my chair because whenever I'm working, they're constantly jumping on the back of this thing. It is a bit ridiculous. And now he's just walking around the room. What are you doing? It's time for some question and answers. Send in your questions to me on Twitter. I'll be asking on Sunday to field questions for this Q&A experience, and I will pull from those responses and answer them here. Such as our very first question. Christian Home asks, how did you start making videos and what kind of video in the beginning? So as I talked about in the last episode, I started YouTube in the summer of 2010, and that coincided with the beta moving into the launch of StarCraft II Wings of Liberty. I actually started off watching Husky's videos, believe it or not. Husky and HD StarCraft were my inspiration to start doing YouTube. Prior to that, besides listening to music videos, I wasn't much of like a YouTube aficionado or anything. I've always loved video games, and I was excited for StarCraft 2, so I was watching some videos and I said, I could try doing something like that. And I started off, I did just strategy videos because I figured we've got some people already dominating the commentary StarCraft 2 scene, and I'm not seeing a lot of like guides or whatever, and I think those are kind of neat. So I started off, my very first video was the 6-pool rush. It is horrible. You can view it now. I bet you if you just type into YouTube 6-pool rush, it's probably going to be one of, if not the top videos. It's got something like 500,000 to a million views. And you might think like, well, Force, wow, your videos did so much better back then. That's 5 years old. And that's the cool thing about YouTube is that views continue to accumulate over time. I'm actually doing very, very well for my views now. I think I've talked about this before. My average viewership continues to go up over the years. But yeah, start off with StarCraft 2, inspired by Husky and HD. And here I am today, drinking tea on a Sunday, answering questions into a video camera with blinding lights behind it. But it was all worth it. Our next question comes from Chris Erickson. Ask what my favorite Magic the Gathering card is. You know, there's all sorts of like interesting cards with cool mechanics. I started really heavily playing around the Tempest and Urza Saga block, and I guess probably a lot of my most memorable cards, because that's when I began doing tournaments and stuff like that, come from that period. Not because of its power or anything, but I would say one of my favorite cards is Serra Avatar, and mainly because I just love the card art. Serra Avatar is a Magic card where its power and toughness is equal to your life total. So you play it in like a sneak attack deck and you get out super early, and it could be like a 20/20, which is crazy. But I mean, there's so many awesome cards in Magic, and oh, the cat's running around again. There's so many awesome cards in Magic. I don't think I could pick just one favorite, and that's not even a very, it's a good card, but it's not like a super powerful card, not like Tolarian Academy and all that crazy stuff that happened back then, Voltaic Keys, and oh gosh, those were the days, huh? Infinite Stroke of Genius decks. I don't know. I'm nerding out, and if you don't know Magic, you're probably like, what the fuck is he talking about? Here's a question from Raminus, who asks, why won't you shave? Because real men have beards. No, just kidding. I won't shave because I like a beard. I remember being like a teenager, and there were kids in my high school class who could grow beards. I was so jealous. It's like, oh, I wish I could be you. I wish I could grow a beard. And it wasn't until like my mid-20s, which is, you know, I'm 29, right? Am I 28 or 29? I think I'm 29 right now. So it's only been a few years that I could actually grow facial hair. And that also goes in hand with me working for myself. And so when I always wanted to grow facial hair, but it looked really bad because it was really patchy. And I had jobs which they wouldn't let me have facial hair. I had to be clean shaven. So as soon as I became self-employed and could grow facial hair, I don't want to stop because I've always wanted it. I think it looks good, and I'm gonna keep it. Why do you care? Why do you care? There's so many people in my videos talking about like my facial hair or my hairstyle or my clothes. Unless you guys are all like fashion models, who gives a crap? The only person who should be talking about those things are my girlfriend, my mother, or my grandmother. Otherwise, what a weirdo. Question from Chris Spencer. Do you feel that people underestimate Heroes of the Storm? I think it's deeper than people give it credit for. So I'd say one of the things that I love about Heroes of the Storm is it's very easy to get into. It's relatively short matches, with the average game being about 20 minutes in length, with the exception of the Garden of Terror map, which takes forever. And it's less... You're more focused on sort of the hero brawling aspect than the little things like last hitting and stuff like that, which they take skill, they take a sense of concentration and understanding of attack speeds and the amount of damage your character can do based on his level, the items that he has, all that stuff. I'm talking about other MOBAs, of course, like Dota 2. So, people love that and they're like, oh, it's so much more difficult, so it's a better game. That's stupid. It's a different game. Heroes of the Storm is definitely a different game. Whether it has as much depth, many people just on its face say no. I would say, okay, maybe not, but I don't care. But that's because I'm a scrub, so that's fine. I don't know. Heroes is a good game. It's a fun game to play, and whether or not it's got enough or as much depth as some other MOBAs do, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, games are played because they're fun, and I think Heroes is fun, so I think people are going to like playing it. Depth aside. Question from Marc-Andre Boujold, who says, how's it going? Pretty good. I've got a question from Payless, who says, I know you started with StarCraft, but where did your videos find their popularity? Did you advertise on Reddit? So when I very first began doing videos, I did do a little bit of like, hey, come check out my stuff. But I found it didn't really seem to do much. I think the best advertising per se is word of mouth, and that's going to come through putting out good stuff and people who watch it linking it to their friends. Basically, that's going to be the best way for you to grow, and I felt that was the best way for me to grow. And then it also helps to, if you are excited about something that lots of other people are excited about, and you cover those things in video form or on a website, it's bound to get a lot of views. And that's sort of the thing that happened with me with Diablo 3. During the month of Diablo 3 launch, my average views for that period spiked about 10 times they were before, and then what they were after that period. And that just came from me covering Diablo 3 so much and being so excited about it. But the interesting thing is, I try to make sure that I continue to just do stuff that I enjoy, that I'm passionate about, and that I have fun doing. And doing those things has led to continuous steady growth over the years. My average viewership, even with those big spikes with things like the launch of Diablo 3 or the launch of the Elder Scrolls Online, I had big bumps up during those time periods. But you look at the lifetime of my channel and it just keeps going up and up. And I think that's, again, largely attributed to me just doing things that I enjoy doing and trying to make sure, what are you crying about? That my cats aren't in my room when I'm trying to record. That is probably the best way that you can ensure growth. Come here, Simba. Come here. I promised you I would show you this idiot. Here he is. He's been in my room this whole time. He's walking around here, right? You're walking around. You're being rude. You're yelling at me. He wants to go. He wants to leave. The thing is, he probably wants food. This is a food-driven cat, and we only feed him twice a day because he needs portion control. Just like everyone. You gotta watch what you eat. You want to leave? You want me to get... Okay, I'll let you. All right, now that that's settled. Yeah, what was I talking about? Growth. Yeah, just I think trying to make sure I do a good job is where most of my growth comes from. I don't. The cat really threw off my mojo here. All right, I got a question here from Bjorn Zink, who says, you got any advice for someone who thinks about getting into the whole YouTube thing, tips/tricks to get a good start? So I guess sort of just what I talked about is, I found the best thing to do is make sure you're doing something that you're passionate about, because as much fun as it is, it's also a lot of work. Like, people think I just play games all day. I spend a lot more time editing videos than I do playing games. It's not really that I'm a guy who makes a living playing games. I'm a guy who makes a living editing videos together. Like if you take the vast majority of the time during the day of what I spend doing, it is editing stuff and trying to make it, you know, look good and sound good and all of those things. But do something that you're passionate about. Do something that you're excited for. Try to do something a little bit different than what's already being done out there. Make sure you put yourself into it, your personality, whatever. It doesn't mean you have to be like, whoa, look at me, woo! Like, you don't need to be all crazy unless that's who you are. But be yourself, try to be authentic. You know, there's been times in my YouTube career when I tried to do something that wasn't necessarily for me. And it feels weird, it doesn't come out right, and I think people can tell and they just won't like it as much. So just do what you like. Like, I love Magic Gathering, so I do Friday Night Magic. Duels of the Planeswalkers is not a popular series on YouTube, but my Friday Night Magic videos do pretty good. I think because I like Magic, and that comes across, whatever. And invest in a good mic, a microphone, even something like this. This is a $150 or $100 mic. It's a Blue Yeti. Good audio is very important as well as good video. So try to nail those things. I'm still working on the video thing with the camera and the lighting. I'm getting a softbox set. It should look better soon. Just get off my back, okay? All right, one last question here coming from squad member Billy, who says, do you think alpha/betas hinder the full launch of a game as in overplaying it early before it counts and losing interest? Abso-friggin-lutely. This is something that I wholeheartedly agree with. It's a notion that I wholeheartedly agree with. We've seen this trend over the past couple of years with early access and getting into games through Kickstarter, into the alphas and betas and all that stuff. We've seen this trend to basically people being able to purchase the game several months, several years before it even comes out. And I think that does hurt the initial launch. And you will say, well, the developer still gets your money. That's true. But I think that there is less of a personal investment in it when it's an alpha or beta, and that as a result, people may fall off sooner and then just not feel like coming back. And I'll give you a perfect example. ArcAge is a game where this exact thing happened to me. Now let's forget about all of the problems that ArcAge had at launch, the problems with the cash shop, the problem with like duping and stuff. There was server down. Well, pretend that ArcAge launched perfectly fine. There was no terrible cash shop and everything was great, okay? I played ArcAge in the alpha, and I really enjoyed it. I got my character to max level, which was 50. I started doing the gear grinding. I was doing some PvP. I had a lot of fun with that game. It was really enjoyable. But I reached a point where I said, well, I'm at the end game, but I don't want to keep playing because I know all of this stuff is going to disappear in a few months when the game actually launches. So I'll put it down and I'll come back when it launches. Even if everything was great, here's my point. Even if everything was great at launch, I still wasn't really interested in going back because I was like, I don't really want to grind 1 to 50 again. I don't, you know, and that is a self-inflicted thing because I chose to put that much time into the alpha. I made those decisions and that kind of burnt me out. But I still think that that does sort of cause an issue for some games at launch. I mean, look at something like DayZ. That thing still hasn't even officially launched, has it? Isn't it still an alpha or so? I don't know. Don't chastise me if I got that wrong. But I definitely think that there is a bit of a problem, and I think players will spend a lot of time in the alpha, drop it because it doesn't matter, and then by the time the game launches, they'll be like, yeah, I already played it, and I think that could hurt the player base, and that's going to be especially important in games that are have a sort of an online presence where it counts on. It matters how many people are online, whether it be like a competitive shooter with matchmaking or an MMO where you want your servers full so you can have a nice thriving community. I think this sort of heavy emphasis on the amount of time people are spending in alphas and betas can potentially hurt the product at the end. You know, I haven't done any market research, but that's just sort of my subjective anecdotal opinion for whatever that's worth. All right, guys, that is going to do it for Sunday Tea with Force. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to ask questions on my Twitter account for next Sunday if you've got anything that you would like answered. I'll pick a few of them and I'll just sit here and ramble on. And this was a very rambly one, wasn't it? I love how I say that as if we've been doing this forever. This is the second one ever, so maybe this is going to be a rambly show. I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next time.